what I value right now, and this is the thing that I like to talk about the most, is time, right? So time is the only non-renewable resource we have, right? So what are you doing, Mandul? What am I doing here, Adnan, with our time? How am I making this world a better place? Because you can make more money, you can have more relationships, you can make new friends, but you cannot make more time. Time's the only non-renewable resource we have.
Өнөөдрийн подкастыг үргэлжлүүлэн үзэхээс өмнө би таныг манай багийн гишүүн болохыг урьж байна. Юу хийх вэ гэхээр манай YouTube сувгт subscribe дараарай. Ингэснээр та бидний бэлтгэж байгаа мэдээллүүдийг авахын хажуугаар таны амьдралын хэм маягт шаардлагатай өөрчлөлтүүдийг бид нар өгөх тэр хэмжээний мэдээллийг өгөх болно. Тэгээд комент бичгээ бити мартаарай. Учир нь манай багийнхан бид бүгдийг нь уншиж үзээд санаа сэтгэлийг чинь авдаг гэсэн үг. Тэгэхээр өөрт авсан мэдээлэлээ өөртөө үлдээхгүйгээр бусдтайгаа бас шеэр хийгээрэй. За ингээ үргэлжлүүлээд ярилцлага үзье. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Today's episode brought to you by myself. All the time. But I'm the one who stays over here, but there's a camera crew, production crew, always gives their effort to bring up these episodes to you, but we need to clap for them. And thank you very much. I truly appreciate those guys' effort and these two guys staying over here. And today's episode, always special. As always, I mentioned right beginning of every my episode, because every person who goes through this seat is for me is special, because I have this utmost respect towards them, because they always someone who achieved certain knowledges that I appreciate and I respect. I always admire to have those knowledges and spread it out, and then so that you guys can use that knowledge to make your life quality better than yesterday. That's the goal. So today's episode, our distinguished guest comes from United States, but he's a world traveler. He can meet you up in every corner of this world anytime. Maybe if you recognize his face and his name, and it's not easy to distinguish these people, because they travel around the world all the time, and then there's a similar faced guys all over the place, because he is one of the important member right this time in Mongolia, because he's teaching us how to be innovative and how to be entrepreneurial, right? So he's an educational entrepreneur and also yogi, because the life balance. You have to put information over here and move your body to maintain that knowledge, because once it gets heavy and there's a stress and then all those things comes up. So we're going to touch that part. So Mr. Adnan Iftikhar. Adnan Iftikhar.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. I love it.
Thank you very much for having a time to talk with us.
Oh my gosh, it's my pleasure. I've had the honor to meet you before, and we, like you were talking about right before we started here,
yeah.
I feel like there's a really great energy between the two of us, where I feel like some of the conversations we've already had have been very meaningful.
Yes.
So they say that it takes 7 minutes for a conversation to get deep.
Oh, whoa.
And I feel like
only 7 minutes.
Only 7 minutes, right? Without interruption. So if you have the phone that buzzes, that's an interruption. So then it takes longer.
Okay.
So if you have no phones that are buzzing, it takes about 7 minutes on average for a discussion to get deep. But I feel like you and I think we got deep in the first 3 minutes that we started talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had this shortcut.
I think it's again, like you were talking about energy, and I feel very comfortable in your sphere of energy.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that there are certain things around your values and the things that you talked about, even describing this room and the setup that you have made over here, just like spoke a lot to me about like what I value as well.
Whoa.
And so I feel like that connection is instantaneous.
Yeah. Thank you very much for noting that. And then even, it's hard to find these kind of people in this society because we tend to not communicate in person, but we always trying to communicate with people in social media. And then we think that that's the way it is, but it's not. And today's this episode gonna be special because we're gonna talk about future and present, a little bit of past. So because why I'm telling past is we need to introduce you to my audience, right? Because in past tense, how many things you have done, and you are the Google partner and Google innovator. So the first thing is, what is your reason to be in Mongolia in this time?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that question. And I've been here almost 3 weeks now, and I'm here for one more week. And spending a month in Mongolia seemed like a long time before, but this time has passed by so quickly. And I feel like my original reason for being here was very different than what I feel like it is now.
Whoa.
So when I first got here, my original reason for being here was to come here and help with the training program for the Google initiative that is going on with education, Google for Education here in the country. And I feel like that's still a very big reason for me to be here. But the more I meet Mongolian people, the more I embed myself into the culture as much as I can in the most respectful manner possible. And the more that I just expand my vision, I feel like my ultimate purpose for being here is to learn. Is to learn about this incredible country, the people that inhabit it, the people that are from the 21 provinces. I've met people from so many of those provinces who have such a deep-rooted connection, not to just the province that they're from, but for the land that they come from, and for the history, and for, you were talking about the past and the ancestors that kind of brought them to this place where they are right now. And that I don't think I've met people that are so connected to that spirit, especially in the way that the culture is shaped. So I talk about religion is one thing, and spirituality is another, but I feel like the culture is really about caring for one another, caring for family, caring for community, caring for the land, and caring for especially education in this country. I feel like that's such a huge deal for me. One of the things that I learned in my research is that the literacy rate in 1920 in Mongolia was about 2%.
Yes.
And now it's over 98% in 100 years. That's, to me, incredibly remarkable. And the emphasis on this and on learning and equality, right? The equity in learning of being, no matter if you're nomadic, no matter if you live in Ulaanbaatar, if you live in the countryside, where you're from, what gender you are, what socioeconomic class you're from, where you're living, what lifestyle you have, everyone is supported in having education. Yeah, and I think that commitment is huge.
Yes. And once you're talking about these people came from 21 provinces, and then they wanted to learn how to apply this progressive educational system into their systems that now using, right?
Yeah.
So we need to change this mentality or the technique that we're using right now due to this evolving society going on.
Absolutely.
Right. So what is the main struggle that they will face during this transitional period?
So I like to reframe the struggle into opportunity.
All right. Good one. Good one.
Because with every challenge is an opportunity, right? So I feel, again, with the way that at this point in the trajectory of Mongolia, where you all are at right now, there is a chance to really reframe education in a way that is valuable for the people who are receiving the education, right? Because these devices that we have in our pockets that we carry along with us all the time, you can learn anything you want to right now. Absolutely anything. You can gain any skills, but mindset is really hard. And focusing on mindset in school, focusing on mindset in community is so important. At least that's what I believe. And experiencing education, not just talking about the theory of education and regurgitation, right? But really thinking about how can you take the work that you're doing right now and express yourself in a way where you are a creator, not a consumer of content, right?
Yep.
So when you do consume content and when you understand what you're learning, how can you now create and use your voice and your opinion to talk about all the different things that you've learned, right? So what are you doing to create? I mean, you're creating this content right now.
Yes.
And your mission is to make your listeners and your viewers be better than they were the day before, right? And I think that that's so powerful. What if more people were doing this? What if more young people were doing this? Rather than spending their time like scrolling through Instagram and scrolling through TikTok and all of these things, what if they were creating material that helped themselves and their community be better every day? What would that world look like?
Beautiful. And it's possible.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I think every individual needs to learn how to transmit knowledge, right? One and another.
Yeah.
And that's like I don't believe that's easy, but that's something that we need to learn, and then learn to give, and not just take, right? We always take something. Even we just born in this world and start taking.
Yeah.
First thing you take is milk.
Right.
from your mama's breast.
Yeah.
And
Sustenance.
then you give poop and pee.
Hey, so you are giving back. What I'm hearing is you are giving back.
Unuseful stuff.
Well, it's useful for the earth.
Yeah,
Come on now.
Yeah. So how you differentiate the mindset of people who lives in countryside and people who lives in urbanized area, such as Ulaanbaatar? So now you are interacting with all those people and then asking and hearing. So do you see a difference between them?
So the first thing that I've noticed, and again, this is in my very limited experience, right? So I'm coming from a place of like, just starting to scratch the surface of knowing people here, right? The one thing I have noticed is that the people who are living in the countryside are much calmer, and again, this is just in comparison of like very generalization, right? So they're calmer, they're a little bit more content. And they're not as involved in the technology as the people who are in the city, I feel. Again as like primary thing. I feel like the people in the city, and this was, I was talking to a friend, we were at a cafe, and he's a Mongolian friend and that I hadn't met before. He was introduced me to from a friend in the US, and we just sat down and we were talking. Every single person in the cafe was on the phone, right? There were people who were a family of 5. Everyone was on their phone.
Family of 5.
Family of 5 on their phone, starting from a 3-year-old all the way to, mama, right? Yes. Who was there on their phone.
Because they're texting each other.
They were communicating. They were communicating.
Yeah.
In a very antiquated, I would say, fashion.
Sending emojis.
Exactly. And I feel like part of the work and part of the unlearning is around how do you communicate with people, with humans. We've become so good at communicating through technology. How do you take that away and start to have conversations just with humans in a manner that is generative, right? Yeah.
Speaking of education, right? What is your experience right after this Bennington College University? So what you took from it, and then that's which part is the most useful part that you took from them?
Okay, so I'm going to have to back up here.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to do what you were talking about earlier, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm going to have to back up and kind of like talk a little bit about my story in terms of like how I got to Bennington. So I grew up around the world, and I was in a variety of different educational systems. One of the most defining moments of my education system was when I was at a school in Paris. And in this school, I was in an art class, and I was like 6 years old, so in first grade. And in this art class, I was told to draw a table. So I drew the table in my own fashion. I gave it in, submitted it. I got it back the next day with a big circle and an X on it.
Okay.
In red. And it said, because the table that I drew had 6 legs. And it was written, a table only has 4 legs. This is wrong. And so since then, I've never considered myself an artist because of that one teacher who had this very specific view about what was supposed to happen. And I'm sure that was good for some students who needed that discipline and that direction. But for me, it kind of crushed my spirits that even until now, I don't consider myself like that I can draw anything or do anything like that.
That tiny information lasted
Me decades that I still think about that from way back from when I was 6 years old. Like it stayed with me. So that was one defining moment in my educational career. The second one was when I was in Pakistan. So I was in France until I was so I was born in Mauritius. I was in Pakistan for a little bit. Then I moved to France at age 6 to 12. And then at 12, I came back to Pakistan. And I was in Karachi, and I was in high school there. And in the school, not only did we get grades, but we were ranked. So we were ranked. There were 50 kids in my high school class, and we were ranked 1 through 50.
Wow.
In every subject and overall. And outside the door was a list of the people and where they were ranked. So you would see it every time you would walk in.
Where you at is public knowledge by rank. Wow.
It was just, and I think about like how that must have been so degrading for some people, right? Who were not doing well, or who just, were struggling with other things, right? Because an exam only tells you as much as you know. And this wasn't based on anything else. It was just based on one exam. So if you're sick that day, you're out of luck, right? Because if you're not feeling good, you're not going to do well in the exam. And if you're sick that one day out of the year, that's it, you're done. And so for me, I hacked the system, right? So the system was, I studied 3 days a year because we had 3 exams a year. And I knew that I had to just regurgitate the information. So I would read the book or all my notes and everything, and I would just like take that, and I have a really good short-term memory. So I'd just be able to regurgitate it, and I got like straight A's just because of that. And at the other time, right, so I'd have my homework here, and I'd be reading a book underneath the table. So my mom thought I was doing my homework, but I was actually reading books. So I read a ton of books in high school. I probably read 80 or 90 books every 4 or 5 months. I loved reading. And I think that's kind of where I got my love for learning, but learning on my own terms, not learning the things that I was supposed to learn in school, right? And so all of that, so I kind of gamed the system, and I got good at doing those things. And I thought all that learning was about getting a grade, right? It was about, you get the A, you're perfect, you're excellent, that's it. You don't need to do anything else, all done, right? So that was my thought about what education was. And then I can tell you about the story about how I got to Bennington, and maybe I will at one point. But
no, I want to hear.
You want to hear the whole thing? You want to hear the whole thing? Okay.
Yes.
So then, so here's what happened, like with Bennington, right? So there's 3 things that happened around my story about how I got to Bennington. One was that my history teacher in high school, Mrs. Ashraf, she was one of the few people who kind of like gave me something that was other than normal. Like she would actually give us writing assignments. She would say like, pretend you are a fly on the wall in this Indus Valley civilization. What do you see? What do you experience? What do you notice? And so we had to like imagine ourselves being part of that like space, rather than saying, give me the 3 facts of the Indus Valley civilization, right? It was a very different assignment. And so she brought us into a very different space. Anyways, I really loved her teaching methodology, and she was one of my favorite teachers, and I still think about her a lot today. And she had a son whose name was also Adnan, and he was in a college in the US. And she shared with me some of his writing. And so I loved the way that he wrote as well. And it was like, very existential. He wrote about a variety of different things. And I really loved the writing. And so he went to a college called Beloit or Bowdoin. It was another college with a B name. So that's kind of like what my recollection was at that time. So anyway, so that's one thing. So I knew I wanted to go to the U.S. and like kind of study the way that her son was doing in the U.S. So that was one thing. The second thing that happened is that I had a counselor in high school who said that every college in the U.S. is the same. It only matters where you go to do your master's. So it doesn't matter where you apply.
Okay.
So that was the second thing. The third thing, my college counselor from a previous school who was American told me, here are 20 colleges that I think you would do well in. And one of them was Bennington. Right? So she gave me a list of colleges that were not like Yale, Princeton, like the ones that everybody knows about, right? So she gave me this list and one of the college on it was Bennington. So back in those days, this was before internet, right? So I had to write, I was in Pakistan, I had to write to the colleges with a pre-application. And in the pre-application, I had to write why I was interested in coming to the college. So I wrote 80 of those, 80 of them. Because the pre-application I would send, then it would cost them $20 to send an application. So they really wanted to know that I would actually apply. So the first 10 of the schools that actually gave me applications, I applied to those. So I did end up applying to Princeton and Yale and a variety of other schools, including Bennington. And I got into a lot of those schools, but I didn't get a lot of financial aid, right? So I wasn't able to make my way to those schools. When I got into Bennington, not only did I get there, I got a phone call from Bennington.
Okay.
And like, who gets phone calls from a college in Pakistan, right?
Okay.
And they invited me to come, and they gave me a full financial aid package.
Wow.
Which means like a full scholarship, everything paid for. And I was like, wow, this is too good to be true. So I called my cousin who was also applying to colleges. And I told her, hey, I got into college in the US. I'm going to the US. She's like, no way, me too. And I said, awesome. Which college are you going to? And she's like, Bennington. Exactly. Yeah. So
she had a phone call too?
She got a phone call too.
Wow.
And she ended up at Bennington. So my first cousin and myself, we were at Bennington together. And little did I know, right, that what Bennington was like. I mean, I'd seen it. I thought I'd seen it sounded really cool. But getting there was such a different experience because when I get there, right, one of the first things that I have to do is not only get a job on campus, but Bennington has this thing called fieldwork term, where January, February, college is closed.
Okay.
And you have to find a job off campus, like for 2 months, doing what you think you want to do when you get out of college.
Ooh.
So it's like, you can do all the theory. Yeah, you can do all the theory about it, but this is actually practical work. Go find a job in the thing that you think you want to do outside of college and do it now to know whether this is something that you actually want to do, or it's just an idea of what you think you want to do. But before that even,
Amazing.
When I got there, and I was going through the first week of college, and then, the senior students and everybody comes back, and then I thought I heard my name in the dining hall, and I turned around and I said, excuse me? And this woman looks at me and she's like, what's your name? I said, Adnan. And she almost dropped her glass that she was holding. And I said, why? What's wrong? She's like, you look like just another Adnan who was here a couple of years ago. My history teacher in college, her son went to Bennington.
Oh.
I had remembered incorrectly, whose name was also Adnan. And we both had long hair at the time. And so it was like
this is coincidence.
Is it? Or is it meant to be?
Yeah.
Right? So that story kind of that almost reinforced my being there, right? So my cousin was there, this happened, that happened, it was just all these series of coincidences that kind of led me to being at Bennington. And, when I came to Bennington, I thought I wanted to be a genetic engineer. I thought I wanted to kind of like study science and which I did. I wrote a thesis in algae, on heat shock proteins in inducers in algae. So I did write a... yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I ended up doing like really deep level science starting from the first year that I was there.
That was your choice?
Mm-hmm.
By yourself? All by yourself?
All by myself. No influence. Because, I was really interested in science. I was interested in biology, and I was interested in doing these things. But the thing that happened is that during fieldwork term, when I was doing the research, I loved doing the research for a short amount of time.
Okay.
My capacity for research was about 6 weeks. Then I got bored.
Okay.
So I still kept doing it because it was like I'd made the commitment, and I loved the teacher that I was working with, Michael Mishkind, and he was an incredible mentor for me. And I studied with him for 4 years and did write my thesis in that. But at the same time, during fieldwork term, not only was I doing research, but I was also doing teaching. So I was teaching biology, science, and chess and French at an elementary school. And so I was teaching these three things.
What a combo. What a combo.
All at the same time.
Oh.
No, just kidding. But it was I loved the teaching aspect of things. And I never thought I would get into teaching or education, but Bennington really changed my mind. And also Bennington had no grades, right?
Oh.
Because they thought that A is a limitation. And also, why limit yourself when you can do more, when you can study more, when you can expand your horizons, right? And the other thing that they had is no requirements. No requirements at all. So the only requirement, there was one.
Okay.
Is to take a class that scares you.
That was the requirement.
That was the only requirement.
So what was that topic that
that scared me?
Yeah.
Dance.
Dance.
Yeah.
Really?
So I took a dance class.
What dance?
I ended up doing modern dance. Then I ended up doing acrobatic dance. And then I ended up doing gymnastic dance and improvisation. And I ended up, after I graduated, I toured with a dance company for 2 years. And I danced on the streets of Paris for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an experience.
It is an experience.
That's an experience.
And I would have never gotten that anywhere else, right?
I believe so.
I don't think I would have ever discovered my love for teaching or my love for dance or my love for experiencing life so deeply, and especially progressive education, because the tenets of Bennington wasn't about the theory. It was about the practice, right? Like take the things that you know and put them into practice, and don't wait to put them into practice. Put them into practice now. So scientists at Bennington do research. Like theater majors or theater goers at Bennington, like people who are taking theater classes, act and design and create and do lighting design and do costume design and direct and do all the different things. Like you have all of these things available for you. So why don't you just do them rather than theorize about doing them, right? So even as a first year student, I was able to get into the lab and do research and take a senior level genetics course my first year at Bennington, because it's such a small place that you can really do whatever. You design your own major, you design your own course of study, which is the way it should be, right? You should do the things you're interested in, not the things you're required to do, right?
That's very new methodology. Even it sounds now, but you talking about back in the days, how many years ago?
812.
Wow. That's like the Genghis Khan's area?
Pretty much. No, but seriously, I mean, well, John Dewey, right? Like John Dewey is one of the philosophers who really talks about experiential education, or like, his pedagogical theories were really around experiential educations. And he was a founding board member at Bennington. But his theories came into play in the early 1900s, right? So this theory has been around for a while. We just have kind of been inculcated into the industrial age to really get into a place where learning is about everyone being the same, right? Standardized testing. Standardized means being the same.
Yes.
Why do we want to be the same when we talk about innovation and creativity, which is what our brain is meant to do, right?
Exactly.
So why do we all want to be the same?
We need to copy that up and apply it in Mongolia as soon as fucking possible.
There you go. I like the swearing right there. Put the emphasis on there, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
I need to ask you something else.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're a multifaceted guy, right? So I can't even identify you. Like, what's your identity? How can I call you? Like, Mr. Adnan Iftikhar is like there's an ad, McDonald's ad. Can I get a they can't even decide what to choose, right? So there's so many choices that I can choose, but once it's so many, it's not easy to choose one of them because every one of them is important, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you identify yourself? It's like, what can you do is many things. So now it's like, after all you experiencing these things and what's important in life and what's important in you is the one that you're going to identify yourself, I believe. But now it's like, Adnan, who you are.
So rather than who I am, right? Like, because I just feel like
What are you?
What are That's very sweet. That's very sweet of you. But and rather than answer that question, I want to answer like the things that I value.
Yeah.
Right? What I value right now, and this is the thing that I like to talk about the most, is time. Right? So time is the only non-renewable resource we have. Right? So what are you doing, Mandul? What am I doing here, Adnan, with our time?
Yes.
How am I making this world a better place? Because you can make more money, you can have more relationships, you can make new friends, but you cannot make more time. Time's the only non-renewable resource we have. So what are you doing with your time? Are you spending it on Instagram watching cat videos, or actually going into the community and making this community a better place? And how are you making it a better place? What are you doing as an individual in your community, in your school, in your province, in your country, as a global citizen? What are you doing to make this world last longer for our kids, for the children, for the people, for the legacy that we're going to leave behind? Because we're all recycled materials, right? Like every single part of our body, every atom was there at the beginning of time, right? And it will continue to be there in a different form, right? But we're perfectly recycled materials. So parts of our body are still going to be around. But this consciousness is only around for a little time. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to make use of this consciousness to do in this moment? That's what I value.
I think I have zero audience right now. Right after hearing that, I believe those people gone.
Where'd they go? Where'd they go?
They're gonna do what they love to do, and then to be with the most valuable people around them.
Right.
And then it's like, if they understood what you said just now, from the moment that you finished it, they be gone. Now that they know, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And it's like there was a certain moment that I found this exactly same thing.
Yeah.
And what was my ultimate goal? It's like, what was my ultimate reason to be over here? Was looking for freedom. And freedom of speech, freedom of thinking, freedom of doing. Yeah. And it was related to time, because doing it after 80 years is not the same as doing it right now.
Yeah.
Because sooner I get the freedom, the sooner I get the power of deciding what to do at that time.
Yeah.
Which is, freedom is important as much as time, because our biology has ticking time bomb, you know. So day by day, we're using this body, and it's aging process going on. So we fighting against the time. So what I'm trying to say is I want to find that freedom soon as possible.
Yeah. And you only get one body.
Only one body and one consciousness.
One consciousness, right?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, well, I mean, there are other theories on that, you come back and all of those things, but we don't know that, right?
Yeah.
We don't know that for sure. So
remember the lady went out of the body.
Out of body experience?
Yeah. Lucy.
Okay.
The movie.
I don't know that one.
You never watched Lucy?
I never watched Lucy, no.
Me neither. Okay, let's move on.
Good. But part of it is also, right, like, you want to have not just the quantity of life, you want to have the quality of life, right?
Indeed.
Right. So be careful of what you put into your body. Be careful of what you consume, not just for your body, but for your mind as well, right? Mm-hmm. Like, if you're, again, doing this stuff like on the phone mindlessly, right? Right? Like it's an addiction, right? There's only two industries in the world that refer to their clients as users: software engineers and drug dealers.
What a combo.
What a combo. But I mean, social media, apps, they're all addictive. This device, I mean, every app's job pretty much is to keep you on the phone longer, to keep you on the device longer, right? Yep. The longer you stay there, the more money that app makes, right? Mm-hmm. Every time you click on Instagram and Facebook, you make Mark Zuckerberg richer, right?
True.
So every time you're clicking on an app, be intentional about it, right? Like, are you choosing to do this? What's the purpose for you going here? Just the same as it would be like, what's the purpose of you for going to school? Are you going to there to learn? Or are you going to there to get an A, right? Is there a difference? What's the difference?
Mm-hmm. Are you going there to learn, or are you going to there to get an A?
Yes.
That's a too important question and too different question.
Right?
Oof.
Right? Because, I mean, this world is about becoming better, I think, right? Mm-hmm. Becoming better and becoming better at communicating with each other, right? Not next to each other.
Yep.
Not simultaneously,
yeah.
right? But really deepening that connection to, and not just to the human people that are inhabiting this earth, but also to nature, right? Mm-hmm. To the earth, to the ancestors that have inhabited this earth, and to all the different animals that live here too, right? Because we share this earth; it's not just ours.
Mm-hmm. Today in the morning, I had the small conversation with my daughter, which is 9 years old, and she asks me to install Snapchat. I asked why. She said, "There's an AI. and I want to have a conversation with the AI." Okay, I installed the Snapchat, and I let her to make a conversation with the Snapchat's AI. And I said, "Hey, what you gonna ask? Because you're gonna leave a digital trace on it, so this device will recognize me as an individual asking this kind of question that I need to know, and I need to give you approval on that questions." Mm-hmm. I'm just like making dramatically a big thing about it, right?
Totally.
So she's okay. First, I want to ask this and that, and she believes this AI is how do you call it's something against her, right? She believes the AI is not there to help; it's there to control them.
Oh, interesting.
So I don't know from where she gets that, and she asks, and then there was a different questions, and then I can't tell you all, but the whole idea was like she believed that the AI won't do anything harmful to her, but she she believes that when time goes by, this AI learns how to be powerful than human being, and then it will take over them. And then that was the idea that she took.
Interesting. This is your daughter who's 9 years old.
9 years old.
Okay.
And I stopped her conversating with the Snapchat's AI, and then I said, okay, I use ChatGPT to ask stuff, but I don't fight with that AI. I use that AI to help me out.
Yeah.
And then I showed her, like, that was I gave a small prompt to, like, can you teach me, like, first we touched like cancer, how to deal with the cancer, all those things, and then ChatGPT was responding with different ideas, right? And okay, now the second question, like the biggest question was how to give a good influence to my daughter and being a father which has very limited amount of time to be with her. And then the prompt was like how to give her this influence that father needs to give her when the father has limited amount of time. And so many suggestions came out.
Yeah.
And then I showed her, like, this is how I use AI.
Yeah.
He's helping me out because I have no time to look for books and then all these knowledges to collect it and use it to give you this quality time that you need. And then I was trying to change her perspective about AI, right?
Right.
So, and then she started reading all those suggestions, and then she likes it because the father wants to do, father learns it, and then she thinks that I'm going to give her those suggestions, right?
Right.
And then she found, like, okay, this and that we want us to do. I want to play Roblox with you, and then, you know, I want you to be on Roblox and then spend time over there and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Which I never done that before.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we got on the same page.
Yeah.
About AI. For that amount of, I mean, very limited knowledge we interchanged.
Yeah.
But you see, that question, the big question with AI could be ethical and responsible. Not like Terminators.
Hopefully
Skynet.
not. Hopefully not. Yeah.
So what can you say about it?
So one of the things, and again, I have to like, you know, put this into context too, because I'm an advocate of human intelligence and human relationships, right?
Yes.
So I think the purpose of us being here is to make lives better for the people that are on this planet and the inhabitants of this planet, including the plants and the animals, right? So with that in mind, I think that the less amount of time we spend on technology, so the more efficient and effective we are with the time we spend on technology, the better it is, so that we can use the extra time to have conversations that go deep with humans, or have conversations or time with animals or plants or nature, right? Like the things that I feel like are helpful to the betterment of the world. So I think using AI to help yourself, to become better, to save time is a very important way to use that tool. But the intentional use of AI, the ethical and responsible use of AI, like you said, is very, very important. Like, when is it right to use AI and when is it not right to use AI? Like, and the sooner we teach our children how to do that, the better it will be. At the same time, we have to model that behavior. So like what you were talking to your daughter about and showing her, right? Talking about, like, this is how I use it. Like, she's going to see that. She's going to respond better to that, more so than if you had told her this is wrong, right? Like, what you're doing is wrong, right? Like, if you'd said it those ways, that would have been a very different conversation than showing her, hey, look, this is how I use AI. This is what I'm doing to better my relationship with you, right? So those ways of figuring those things out, first of all, as being a role model for the children, but also using it in a way that makes sense for you to help you gather information that'll make that relationship stronger and more grounded. So, in some of the trainings that I've been doing recently in Mongolia, I do show people the uses that I use with AI and how they can use AI in terms of like a starting point, right? Because ChatGPT will give you a good starting point, not a great starting point. It'll give you a good place to start. A blank page is really hard to start with.
Yes.
But say if you are a math teacher in 9th grade and you want to do a project on geometry, right? You could start Googling that stuff and start creating a lesson plan. But if you just put into the prompt in ChatGPT and say, please create a 3-part lesson on geometry for 9th grade students in Mongolia using local architecture and materials, and create me a lesson plan, right? You just put that prompt in there and it'll generate something for you that will be a really good start. So you don't have to do the research, right? You've got that starting point. Then you can take that and be like, okay, I like part 1. I don't like part 2. Let me rephrase part 2 and kind of like go deeper into that. And you can reprompt ChatGPT to help you and create new prompts through it. Or you can start doing the research yourself and take that as a good starting place and expand upon it to make a much better lesson plan. So basically a 3-hour lesson plan can be cut into 10 minutes. And then your research to make it even better can be a half an hour. So now you've saved an hour, which you can now do to actually execute the plan or to spend more time with your daughter.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than spend all of this time creating this lesson plan that now you can use AI to help you build. And I didn't say use AI to build it, to help you build. It is a tool because human intelligence still at this point is better than artificial intelligence because you need to distinguish what it does well and what it doesn't do well and what is appropriate for that moment, right? So choosing to use AI to help you get started is important, but then taking it to the next level is going to be your responsibility, right? Yeah.
Just now, after this conversation going on, I realized that I can use ChatGPT to put some prompts for this episode and then make some questions, right?
Of course.
So I did that, and based on this information, based on what I gave, and there's a few questions, and let me rephrase, or let me try this one of these questions first, okay?
Totally, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. So being comfortable with being uncomfortable is a unique mindset. How do you cultivate this mindset in yourself and encourage it to the others, especially in their ever-changing field of education?
Good question, Mr. ChatGPT.
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, Mando. Oh, I got stumped. Nice. So, okay, so let me go back to Bennington, right?
Yeah.
Because Bennington, I feel like, was the first place that actually asked me to be uncomfortable. I said that there was one thing that was a requirement, is to take a class that scares you, right? Now, that's the ultimate place of being uncomfortable. I'm going to go take a class that actually makes me feel uncomfortable, right? Like dance, I'd never danced before. And so in that dance class, I was the only guy in the class, first of all, right? Like, so everyone else was somebody who'd done dance for at least 1 to 10 years. So it was pretty intimidating for me, and it was a lot of pressure. But again, putting myself into that place of being uncomfortable allowed me to actually create somewhat of a career in doing something that I had no idea that I would end up loving, right? So you just don't know what you don't know. The thing that you're scared of might actually be the thing that you end up loving, that you end up like embracing, that you end up using as your life's work. I mean, to this day, I love to dance, and I'm a yoga teacher. I talk about learning things for the first time and taking on a beginner's mindset. And all of those things are new things, right? All of those things are uncomfortable. I mean, for me to learn Mongolian, right? It's a very different place for me to be, and it's uncomfortable because the one thing I found out about Mongolians, they're very particular about how you pronounce the words. And so being able to pronounce them properly is very important. And I agree with that. And so that's why, I need to put myself into that place of oh my gosh, I'm learning a whole new language again, right? And to really put myself into that place of being uncomfortable. And a lot of people in Mongolia don't speak English, right? So I do need to figure out how to communicate, how to say a few things here and there. And so the more that you do things that are uncomfortable for you, and the more you become comfortable with being uncomfortable, the more risk you take. The more risks you take, the more new things you try. The more new things you try, the more you can create.
Can you give me a small description on beginner's mindset?
Of course.
And I wanna know, and I wanna let you know my audience beginner's mindset and what's the characteristics of it.
So a beginner's mindset is. So let's say, right now, I'm an expert in certain things. I'm an expert in a lot of the Google for Education work that I do, Google Workspace for Education. I'm an expert in that, right? So I know it really well, and I can teach people about it, but I'm teaching it from a place of being an expert. At the same time, when I shift that mindset to become a beginner's mindset, right? So learning something for the first time, like Mongolian for me, I go into a beginner's mindset and it become I get scared. I get uncomfortable. I get in a place where I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I fail, right? I fail quite a bit in pronouncing the words incorrectly. And the more I fail, the more I realize that it's okay to fail. So putting on that beginner's mindset allows you to fail more, allows you to experience newness, and allows you to put yourself into a position that you didn't think that you could put yourself in, right? So the first time you try anything, so for example, some of the trainings that I've been doing in Mongolia, I ask people to create a video using, whatever tools that they have available at that time. So create a video for the first time. And do it in a team. So as they create that video, the first one, right, the first version of anything is going to be okay, or potentially bad, or, not great, right? It could use improvement. So it's the first attempt at anything. So that's what FAIL stands for. First attempt in learning.
Oh.
So the first time you learn anything, it's going to be really hard and you're probably going to fail. And it's okay. Because then you have your second and third and fourth and fifth. And I tell people, do anything that you want to learn 100 times, if not 1,000 times. For example, go back to, when did you say you started interviewing people? 2015?
Yes.
2015, right? Go back to your first interview. What was that like for you?
I can't even remember.
You can't even remember?
It was that bad.
It was that bad.
I escaped from it.
So you know what? I invite you to look at that video again.
Yes.
And I invite all of you to go find the first video he ever did on YouTube. Right? And look at it. And go from that first video that you published on YouTube to the one that you just did most recently.
Okay.
And see what a difference you have in between that first one and the one that's right now. The quality of questions that you're asking, the quality of conversation that you're having is so different, because back then you were in a beginner's mindset and you were failing, but you learned from that failure and you kept going on and on and on and on. And you've done over 100 interviews now, right? Much more than 100 interviews.
Yeah.
So you've gotten so much better at it. So that's the same thing. For people who haven't tried that yet, try something new. Create something new. Create your first TikTok video on something that you're passionate about. Create a first, and don't just watch and consume content. Create content. Make content. Go out there and make your voice and your opinion heard, especially you young people, right? Because you all are time multi-billionaires.
Yes, time multi-billionaires. Yes.
Right? Right. So I'm going to tell you, I'm 48 years old. If I live to be life expectancy, I have 1 billion seconds remaining. I'm a time billionaire right now. But a lot of your viewers and listeners, they're time multi-billionaires.
Yes.
They have a lot of time remaining. What are you going to do with that time? Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go one more round for ChatGPT.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
So, you describe yourself as a world traveler. How has your global experience influenced your perspective on education and innovation? You choose. This is the first one, and this is the second one.
Okay.
Can you provide insights into your vision for the future of education, particularly regarding the integration of technology, AI ethics, and student-centric approaches?
Ooh. Those are both really good questions. I'm actually going to answer the first one first because I feel like that's something that's very important and dear to me.
So you're going to go for both of them?
I'll go for both of them.
Very good, because you just gained the third question after all those. Now our show will just become the entertainment show. Please stay tuned.
I love it. I love it. So like I said, I was born, in Mauritius.
Yep.
And I lived in Pakistan for a couple of years. I lived in France. I lived in Pakistan again for high school, and then I went to Vermont, to Bennington College in the United States for education. And so the one thing that taught me, like just being in those different places, and I've traveled to probably about 55 countries now as well, and the one thing that I've really gotten to know about is how to act and be in different situations. How to be resilient with change, how to adapt to different scenarios, and how to understand the nuances of the different people that I interact with.
Different dialogues,
different relationships, different ways of interacting.
Yes.
And I was just telling somebody like that the people in Mongolia, I feel, are so inclusive. They want to invite you to all the different things. They want you to come and be welcomed in so many different ways. They want to show off the culture. They want to show off their lifestyle. And they want to show you, especially people in Ulaanbaatar, they want to show you the countryside. Because this is just a minuscule part of this incredible land of the blue sky, right?
True.
So I feel like the hospitality here has been incredible to kind of notice. So, and as a world traveler, right? Like, I mean, it's different in every country, and there are some people who are more friendly and some people who are less friendly. And again, I'm being very general in some of those conversations, but I do think that that traveling the world, especially coming from the United States, where not a lot of folks have traveled outside of the country, right, until they're in their 20s. I think that it's really important to be able to have that experience of going to a place where English is not the first language. Of putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, coming back to that, right?
True. Yeah.
Right? Like of learning something new, of putting on a different pair of glasses to see the world through, right? So traveling is so important. Speaking a different language is so important. Experiencing a different culture is so important, that it makes you more aware that you're just a small little grain of sand in a huge, vast sandy beach that covers how many galaxies? I don't know, but you're very small. Right? I'm very small in all of this. Yeah.
That's what I experience when I go travel around the world, and especially when there's a very crowded people, right? Like China, Europe, and every other urbanized countries.
So much going on. Yeah. So I feel like that's really shaped a lot of what my views on education are. And again, going back to that value of continually putting myself into places where I feel uncomfortable. And the more I do that, the more I get more comfortable about being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So
about the second question.
Yes.
About the future of education, right?
Yeah. So I'm going to actually talk about a book that I've been reading right now called Imaginable by Jane McGonigal.
Okay.
Now, Jane McGonigal is a scientist and a future theoretician, and she works for the Institute for the Future in Palo Alto, California. And she wrote this book around imagining what the future is going to be like, right? And so in this book, there are certain scenarios that come up. One of the scenarios is around the future of education. And she kind of puts the thought out there that instead of people going to college to choose majors, what they will do is pick a challenge. Pick a challenge that they want to work on, that they feel is really important to change the world for better. So the challenge could be anything around race and equity. It could be around climate change. It could be around pollution. It could be around sustainability. It could be around gender equality. There's so many different like challenges that are out there. So what she talks about is like in 10 years from now, what it will look like is that every year people who graduate high school or become of a certain age will choose a challenge, and they'll get adopted into a group of people who are also working on that challenge locally and globally. And then they will start to kind of create ideas and solutions to help learn for themselves, learn more about that challenge and how they can turn that challenge into an opportunity. So what can they do to help solve that challenge? What can they do to help inform themselves and the world on how to resolve those issues that are so pressing, right? So social equality as well as like poverty and global hunger, like all of those different things. What can you do to help with those kinds of things? So, and personally, I do think as well, and this might be a little out there, but I do think that college is going to look very different in 10 years from now.
Every college?
I think every college, yeah.
It needs to, right?
It needs to. We can't continue teaching the same thing. I mean, again, look at ChatGPT, right?
Yeah.
You can write an essay on ChatGPT. ChatGPT can like take a bar exam. It can start to like, solve all these problems. They say that in 1 to 2 years, 75 to 80% of the code will be written by ChatGPT or AI. I should say AI, not just ChatGPT, but right, like AI in general. So, what that means is we need to start to discern what are the things that are important for us, and how this technology is going to help us again gain more access to time, and to be actually more present and enjoy life rather than work so much. Because technically, the brain has on average, about 5 good hours of work every day.
Only 5?
Only 5. 5 really good hours of work.
I think mine is 8 though.
Yours is okay. You might shift the curve. But think about it though. Like the brain, there's a study that's been done that when the brain gets distracted, you lose about 23 minutes. So every time you get a notification on your cell phone when you're in the flow, right? And you get distracted, you lose about 23 minutes of like valuable time. To get back to the same place where you were in that flow, you need another 23 minutes to get back on track. Yeah, and this was a study that was done by UC Irvine and a university in Berlin. They collaborated on the survey together, and I can link that survey for you if you're interested into the notes. Yeah. And so that's one thing, right? The other thing is our brain is not meant for multitasking. There is actually no such thing as multitasking. It's called single tasking. So when you're doing 2 or 3 things at the same time, what your brain is doing is called task switching. So it's switching between one task and the other task so quickly that you think you're multitasking, but you're actually switching tasks so quickly that it looks like you're doing that. And the more task switching you do, the more tired you get. So those 5 hours can become 3 hours, depending on how much multitasking you're doing. Or those 5 hours can become 7 hours if you are actually single tasking, right? It all depends on how you train your brain to do what it's really good at, which is single tasking, learning, and being creative. Those are 3 things that the brain is really good at. And the 3 things that the brain is not good at is having so many things going on at the same time, right? Your brain can only keep track of 3 to 5 things at one time. Mm-hmm. Your brain can not store tons of information, and your brain cannot multitask. So stop multitasking, right? Focus on one thing at the same time. If you're in a conversation, have that conversation. If you're in nature, be in nature, right? If you're with family, be with family, right? If you're studying for learning, for the sake of learning, study, right? Don't study and watch a movie and answer a text at the same time, right?
Those who's watching and listening us and doing something else, please choose us and then stop doing that something else.
Although, with the
only
audio,
on this episode, please.
Only on this episode. Only on this episode.
Other episodes, you choose. But this one, we're talking about the future, near future. And then it's your well-being. It's everything is for your well-being. You can do all those things like the reverse things, but what will you lose is your well-being. You will be imbalanced.
It's good. It's
yes.
good. So I think that the future of education is going to be, I think it's coming very soon. And I'm really curious to see what it's going to look like. And I know, again, that Mongolia, especially as a country, is on the precipice of something pretty immense right now. And the opportunity to really take advantage of it and bring Mongolia not just to the forefront, but leapfrog over some of the countries in Asia that are doing similar things is a possibility.
Okay.
It's a huge possibility. And the thing that's going to make it happen is for people to actually embrace the change and not be stuck in the education system that was created 150 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Now that I hear so many studies that you found and that you use to teach people, and I would like to go deeper on forming a new habits, like ways of and techniques, right? So learning is, the catching information is one thing, but the information that you catched and being useful and you taking it like as a tool and then use it, that's another field of study. So if there's a certain like verified, confirmed techniques that forming a habit, please shoot them all.
Habit formation is simple, right?
No, everything's simple.
Everything is
not
simple.
Not just habit formation is simple. Everything's simple.
It's all simple.
Yeah,
it's all simple. As long as you have the right mindset.
True.
As long as you have the right mindset and you have the right environment, right? And environment is so important. So they say that you are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So who are the 5 people? So think about this for yourself right now. Who are the 5 people that you hang out with the most? So as you're thinking of these people, right? Think about this. What are their values and qualities? Do they smoke? Do they go out late at night? Are they healthy? Do they work out? Do they like to do karaoke? Do they like to travel the world? Whatever those qualities are, whatever their values are, you're more likely to do the same thing that those 5 friends do than not. So if all 5 of those friends are healthy and and work out every day, you're more likely to work out every day. If all 5 of those friends smoke, you're more likely to smoke, right? So you have to choose the people that are around you who are going to lift you to a place where you're going to be your best self. So that's one. That's one thing, is your environment, the people around you, and how you you have a choice, right? You have a choice to surround yourself with people who are going to make you better. So choose those people.
Okay. My apologies, my friends. I gotta go. Adnan, from today on, you and me. I gotta go. So I'm leaving you guys. I gotta stop smoking, stop drinking, and all those habits that I don't like. I gotta leave for your own good, and for your own good too.
So the second thing is having an accountability partner, right? So who can keep you accountable to do the thing that you really want to do? And habits, again, it's like, like there's multiple ways to create good habits. They say that it takes about 21 days to create a good habit.
That's what they said.
But 90 days for it to become a lifestyle.
90 days.
So
Not
21 days for it to become a habit, but 90 days for it to become a lifestyle. So for example, think about brushing teeth, right? That's like your lifestyle. So when you get up in the morning, you brush your teeth. When you go to sleep, like brushing your teeth, like that's become a lifestyle for everybody, right? Like, because that's just like understood that it's a nice and good thing and it's healthy and it's got in society now in a place that, so what if exercise were the same way? What if like, if you got up and you if you didn't do a half an hour of exercise, you felt like you hadn't brushed your teeth. That's what you kind of want to build towards. But if you start off with half an hour every day, you're not going to be able to do it. You got to start off small. Just give yourself, okay, I'm going to work out 1 minute a day. Just 1 minute. Chances are you're going to maybe do a little bit more than a minute, right? If you just get started. Getting started is the hardest thing. So the things that you can do is, for example, set out your exercise clothes the night before so that when you get up, you put on your exercise clothes right away. So then you're ready to do exercise, even if it's just for 1 minute, right? So you're setting yourself up for the next day. What is it going to look like for you, right? Or, even just like wearing exercise clothes, as soon as you come home from work, switch into exercise clothes. So if you're wearing the clothes, you're like, you have no choice but to do the exercise, right? Even if it's just for 1 minute.
Yeah.
And so when you continue doing that for 21 days, it'll become a habit. If you continue doing that for 90 days, it'll become a lifestyle. And you'll just get used to it. And the 1 minute will evolve to 5 minutes, 10 minutes, wherever you want it to be. So whatever it is that you want to do, that's one way of doing things. The second way is to add it to something that you already do. So for example, after you brush your teeth, do 10 push-ups. So every time you brush your teeth, do 10 push-ups.
Combining
the habits, right? Right. So, or every time you have a sip of coffee, do 5 jumping jacks.
That's not right.
Whatever that is, right? Like however you want to kind of like expand yourself. Like that's one way of doing it too. It's called habit stacking, right? And then the other part of it too is keeping yourself accountable. So if you have somebody who wants to work on the same things that you do, set up a weekly meeting with them and just talk to them. Okay, out of the last 7 days, how many times did you exercise? How many times did you write in your journal? How many times did you meditate? How many times did you eat healthfully or unhealthfully, right? Like what are the things you want to work on? And don't work on 19 things, just pick one. Yeah.
Okay.
Just start with one. What are you picking? Tell me.
Yoga.
Yoga? Every day you're going to do yoga?
Yeah.
For how long?
Every morning.
Yeah.
Maybe like 20 minutes.
How about 5 minutes?
No, that's too small.
Well, just give yourself that flexibility, and pun intended, right?
Okay. Now that you say 5 minutes, I'll do 5 minutes.
Right? Yeah, just do 5 minutes.
Yes.
I mean, you can choose to do it longer, but just do 5 minutes. And a week from today, I'm going to check in on you.
Let's go.
Let's go?
Week from today.
A week from today.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Yes.
Give me a high five.
I'm gonna give you reports on that thing every morning. 5 minutes video record and I send it to you.
Wow. And
But
can I publish those?
You can publish those.
Nice.
And the winter is coming, so the mornings are darker. So maybe you can't find me on a video, but that's okay.
I understand what you're saying. Okay.
No,
I got you.
I'll send you video.
You have these beautiful lights, man.
Yeah. At home, I don't have these on my phone.
No.
I mean, in home. I mean, sorry. Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, I'll send you.
Okay.
For sure. I'll send you videos.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.
Speaking of yoga,
Yes.
So, do you meditate?
So the word meditate has multiple meanings.
Yes.
And it's always been very hard for me to do the meditation where you close your eyes and you sit yourself down and do all of those things. So the way that I do meditation is through movement.
Yes. Okay. Let's go through that process.
Yeah.
I was trying to do meditation and yoga too, but I didn't know these two was combination of it, right?
Yeah.
So first thing was always be guided. When you're learning yoga, you have to be guided because you have no clue about those movements and doing it right or wrong. That was a question. And like my profession was a coach, right? So I learned how to teach you how to move correctly or execute those techniques correctly. So every time I went to yoga classes, there was a yoga teacher doing yoga by themselves, but giving a guidance through their voices, but not coming back to me, not giving me instruction that I was expecting of them, and that was just leading us. And so I felt like the yoga is just hearing voices, and I can put the video on my iPad and then do it like at home. It's like everywhere. Because how am I doing is not important for the teacher. It's just doing it is important. So and I was like asking for more. You know, like I was asking coach like me to come to me and then like touching some parts of my body, and this is the part that you need to feel and push this part and back and blah blah blah.
So giving you adjustments.
Yes, adjustments.
Yeah. So here's the thing about yoga. In yoga sutras, right, which is like one of the books of yoga. Sutra. Exactly. There are 60,000 poses in yoga.
Gosh.
And each pose has 100,000 variations.
60,000
poses.
Yeah.
And
so this is one pose?
Absolutely. No, seriously. Like, like you almost any pose that you're in life, as long as you have intention and breath in your body, you're doing a pose of yoga. Okay. You just have to have that intention and breath. Those are the two most important things as part of yoga. So you can be like, this is a variation of sitting pose, right? Yep. Seated pose, right? Mm-hmm. And again, there's 100,000 variations of each pose. So you could be having, your legs underneath you, or you could have your legs the way they are right now, or they could be crossed, or they could be both feet on the ground.
Yeah.
But as long as and again, like, as soon as I said intention, your shoulders went back, your shoulders went down, and you became taller.
Yeah.
Right? So just that little word of intention made you shift your entire posture to make it better for yourself in this moment. Right? You could. So this is the pose that a lot of people find themselves in, right?
That's me.
Like right here.
I think I'm looking at myself.
Exactly. And so as soon as you intend to be in a place of sitting, you'll just slow down and kind of think about how you're sitting and what is the right posture you need to feel comfortable for your body to feel healthy. So as soon as you do that, you're in yoga. That's it.
From now on, I'm doing yoga on my episode.
24/7.
24/7.
24/7, man. Yeah. No, seriously. And
intentionally.
Intentionally. And this is the thing, right? Like, it doesn't need to look a certain way, because yoga is a practice. Yoga isn't perfection. There's no such thing as doing yoga and becoming like the most perfect yoga. There's no such thing like that.
World champion of all yogis.
Right? It's about the practice, because it's more than just physical. It's mental, it's spiritual, it's emotional. There's multiple facets to yoga.
So while you're doing yoga, how your mind goes?
And again, I come back to the word intention, right? Like,
Yeah.
so this is where you were talking about meditation. When I find myself in a yoga flow that I'm really enjoying and really connecting with, my mind is blank. My mind goes to a place where I'm not thinking about anything except being in that pose in that moment and feeling everything I'm feeling. Because there are some poses that will make you feel a little bit more than you can feel, if you get what I'm saying, right? And those are the poses that can be challenging, but they also, again, as with challenge, there's an opportunity. They find an opportunity to settle more into the pose and become more comfortable with being uncomfortable. See how everything is a circle? We come back to that all the time.
Yes. Like during this maybe hour or so, we're talking about just one thing with the different words.
Just one thing. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great.
You're feeling great.
I'm feeling clear. I'm feeling like I formed every plan to do, like after this episode, like clear is the word, I think.
Yeah.
I can see the future
You can see the future.
because I know what to do now.
You know what to do. Yeah.
And not like knowing what to do, but how to do it.
I like that.
That's the word.
I like that. So I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
When you started this show, what was your intention?
My intention was sharing knowledges and sharing science-based knowledges and people's experience through this podcast and spread information and making this valuable knowledge low cost as possible and accessible
Accessible to as many people as possible.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we are on YouTube.
Yeah.
And yes, and it's for free. Apple Podcast and SoundCloud, Castbox, all those Google Podcasts. It's free. And during the show, I don't like to put advertisings of other products that not good for human health and stuff like that. And yes, there's offers and I refuse it. Yes, I need money, but I refuse it. And, well-being, it's about balance and knowing and learning how to do it.
Well, an interesting thing that came up as you were saying this. First of all, I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you. And I have another question to follow up. But before that, I also want to just point out that money is just energy, right? So you're putting energy into this and you want to get energy out of it, right? So it's just an exchange and transfer of energy. So it's totally valid.
Oh, yes, that's the mindset. That's how you see perspective, right? The money is energy.
Money is energy.
Let's not use this word money. Let's use energy. I need some energy, man.
Exactly. You need energy, right?
Yeah.
You need sustenance.
Yes.
You need life force, right? And it's all the same thing. So just wanted to point that out because, again, this is something, and I also want to say this too. A lot of the things that I talk about are not just because I'm sharing them with you or with, your audience, but I'm also reminding myself of those things, like why I'm here. I need reminder for myself too. Because again, it's like I'm still part of the process, right? I'm still in the process. I'm still doing these things. I'm still discovering these things. And so I still love to have that beginner's mindset and to experience new things, which is why I'm here in Mongolia for the first time, right? And I'm going to continue to make mistakes, and I'm going to continue to fail, and I'm going to continue to embrace that failure. So I just wanted to also say that, not like that I've reached enlightenment or anything like that, but I'm just like, I'm still learning. And that's why I'm here. Because again, the intention for me to be here is to learn, right?
Yeah.
So the second question, you were telling me about the intention for starting this podcast. Has the intention remained the same, or has it evolved, or what is it? What, like, you know, like how long has it been that you've had that intention, and what's been the trajectory for you?
I don't believe the intention have changed. It's still the same, and we're doing the same thing. And I don't believe I will change the intention because it's still out there. There's a lack of this kind of information.
Yeah.
And once I get enough feedbacks from my audiences, Mandul, we got you. Like, we found this knowledge pretty useful, and now please stop. We are good hands. We are in good hands, and please do something else.
Oh, okay. So you're gonna wait for a cue from your audience.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
No, I think again, like, you know, that intention is a really great one, and I highly support it. So anything I can do to help, please let me know. And in terms of the future, how do you see this podcast and this show continuing to impact the world? Like, do you want to continue to impact the people in Mongolia, or do you see this becoming something that's that has impact outside the borders as well?
I don't know my possibilities are, but by the time what I can do with my spare time with this passion project, I speak with people that I can communicate with, English, Spanish, and Mongolian. Mostly is Mongolian.
Yeah.
And so these episodes made it because we can do it, and only it's goes to people who speaks these Mongolian languages mostly, and ones who lives in United States and Korea, Australia, all those who's living abroad from Mongolia. I have a few feedbacks from them that they like to hear, and all those people who lives over here. So this is that much impact that I can give these people. But if there's a possibility that I can spread it out to all over the world, it could be good.
That is a possibility.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Awesome. Great to hear that. And I want to ask you as well, like, you know, I've talked a little bit about education and the future of education. How does that resonate with you in terms of what you know of the educational system in Mongolia and what you've been through? I'd love to hear your experience too.
When I was 18 years old, I graduated my high school and straight went to Cuba to study sports science. And during my years over here, educational system was very old, very Sovietic, and was teacher-centric educational system was. And we were all supposed to sit like this. And if we wanted to speak out loud, we have to do this. And if teachers see me and think that I can say, will allow me to say something. So then I went to Cuba, and then I started learning how to teach people, coach people, like how to optimize human body from ground zero to my plus how many. That's my goal, and in between goal, me and my athletes, and that's the moment that I love to spread knowledge. It doesn't matter basketball technique or Spanish language or how to cook. That's the all that we need is spreading knowledge and sharing what you know with other people is that the thing that I got from Cuba. So it was a socialist system and everything was sharing. But systematically, politically, from the perspective of political system, maybe it's wrong. Maybe it's not adequate for this time being, but the sharing information or sharing knowledge-wise was correct. And I spent my 6 years over there. And I came back. I started doing my professional career, basketball coach. I started with multitasking stuff, coaching on the fields because we don't have professional players at the time. And my coaching classes were starting after 6, 7 o'clock because all the guys working on any other fields. And we start our exercise 7 till 11. And during the day, I was doing startup with my friends. And I spent like 3-4 years on basketball field. And then I move on to TV industry. And TV industry was the same thing, interviewing people, spreading knowledge, spreading information. I was doing the same thing the last few years. And I spent like 4 to 5 years on TV industry. And I switched to telecommunications. Now I'm doing telecommunication operator. So I'm delivering communication. It's like I'm giving products and services to let people communicate with themselves. So I'm still doing the same thing.
Sharing access to communication.
Sharing access to
communication. Allowing people to see things in a different way.
Yes. And giving opportunity equally by competing with the low price products. So like I'm doing same thing, but with different people, with different time period, time frame.
So what I'm hearing is like your mission in life is to connect people by sharing knowledge and allowing them to see things through their own perspective in their own way.
Yes.
So you're basically a coach.
Yep.
In life. You're a life coach.
Ooh.
You're a communications life coach.
Could be.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm just trying to
understand,
like, you know, the things
identify
what you identify with, but also like, you know, what motivates you and what drives you. And again, like I think that it's a lot of it has to do just with creating more opportunity for everyone, allowing equal access to different forms of communication and opportunity to become more prosperous, more healthy, more wealthy. But again, like, you know, wealth doesn't have to be around money.
Energy.
It's an energy, right? It's energy, it's relationship, it's value of time. So I hear that a lot in you. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Thank you. No, thank you pointing that out. You know, not every single guest that I receive over here, that points out that part. I like to have these episodes like this, conversational, right? But some of them, it just comes in here to give information, not take. So you see, by the time you're taking information from me, and then to have this dialogue and then deliver it like holistically to those audiences who's attending until now. Maybe some of them are gone since that you said.
Go spend time with your family. Go spend time in nature.
Yeah.
Maybe they're listening to this in nature. Like that would be really nice.
It might be. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is the episode that needs to be highlighted from all those episodes before, because like not the informationally, but the human value wise, we clicked, like we found each other, like, yes, what important to you was important to me. And then these bases of perspectives comes to one page is not often happens.
It's not often that happens. I absolutely agree. And again, part of it is just like the base value of humanness, right?
Yeah.
Which you were talking about right at the beginning when we met. And I think that human connection is unfortunately being lost with the technology that's infiltrating all of our lives. So really being careful about that technology and taking it in ways to, again, use it as a tool to help, but not replace.
Yes, help, not replace. Good one.
Yeah.
So thank you very much. I don't know what to say, but even the saying this thank you word, it doesn't express my feeling that I feel over here, but this is the way. So thank you very much having this time to spread knowledge, and much appreciated. Hopefully we will do other episodes in the future, wrapping up what happened till then. And yes, life is a journey, so at some point we will cross the road.
Absolutely. I have no doubt that we will.
Yes. And guys, and all those people who's watching us till now, and wish you the joy, wish you the happiness in life, but admit that we're gonna struggle, we're gonna suffer, but someday we will enjoy, we'll be happy. And then these are circles of life. So there's no life that all the time is happy and struggling or suffering. So it comes and goes, black and white, day and night, and everything is a circle. So thank you very much staying with us and having this information. And don't take this on you, and spread it out. Talk with other people what you hear over here, and spread it out. And what you feel is important, so share it with someone who you care. So we are humans, we are very like to live depending on each other. So wish you everything good, and see you next time. We love you.